All right, Nick, let's talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes coming off an absolute massacre of a win against Akron. I think that was huge for them. Sometimes the good teams just have to come in and beat the bad teams. You just got to do it, and that was what was done when they played Akron. But not only did they get a big win, they got some really exciting news as well that I think Bucks fans will love. I'm Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspect. All right, Nick, as I alluded to, the Bucks got some extra good news after a big win, which is always exciting. A new recruit has made his way down to Columbus and signed that paper. He's going to give his commitment to the Ohio State Buckeyes. I think this is big news for them. Let's get into the article and we talk more about this on the other side. This is from the Columbus Dispatch. It says, Ohio State added its fourth wide receiver to the 2025 recruiting class Saturday. 2025 four-star wide receiver Philip Bell announced his commitment to Ohio State, choosing the Buckeyes over Southern Cal, while holding offers from programs such as Georgia, Penn State, Alabama, and Washington, a real who's who's there. Bell, out of Mission Viejo, California, is the number 184 player in the 2025 class, according to 24/7 Sports. He is also listed as the number 19 wide receiver in the country. This is from him, Bell himself. It says, it's just crazy because Coach Hartline, he's really going to develop you as a player, Bell said. Like, he's really going to make you into that guy. I think this is interesting news for the Buckeyes, Nick. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this one. But before we get to you, Buckeyes fans, in the comment section below, you saw everybody hit the field in a big game against Akron. First game of the season, you come out, everyone shines. But who surprised you? Is there anyone that hit the field and maybe had a really good performance you weren't expecting? Let us know what was the most surprising performance in this game versus Akron, and let us know in the comment section below. But Nick, nonetheless, what are your thoughts on this commitment and what does it mean for Ohio State?
Timing, right? That's what we're hearing about this, and that's what this move obviously makes sense of. The timing of the emergence of star wide receiver Jeremiah Smith in this new era of Ohio State football. Obviously, last year, tough the way everything shook out before it was all said and done. Of course, losing in Michigan and getting really manhandled in terms of your offense against Missouri in the bowl game. This was kind of a reset moment. The emergence of Jeremiah Smith as an absolute superstar, 6 catches, 90+ receiving yards, 2 scores, bunch of highlights. I mean, he came into this, we all expected him to be the real deal, but very rarely does a recruit show up, a freshman show up, and day one proves he's the real deal. Usually it takes a few weeks, a few games, maybe by October, you get like a moment, you're like, whoa, he's legit. It took Jeremiah Smith all of about like 30 seconds. So he 100% proved he's the real deal. And that sent, I think, a shockwave through the entire recruiting landscape. And it sent a message, hey, look, Marvin Harrison Jr. is gone. Different era in Ohio State football. What's the quarterback situation going to be like? Then you slide in Jeremiah Smith. He's clearly a superstar. Now everybody wants to come in Ohio State and they say, listen, I want to be the next guy on that list. And we already saw them have a really strong recruiting class already for the future at the wide receiver position, and it just got better. And here's a very interesting report from that same article, is that this is the first California commit for Ohio State since 2022. Now, if anyone wants to fact check me on that, feel free. I'm kind of citing the Columbus Post-Dispatch there. But even so, this is a vibe shift. This is an energy shift. Ohio State, for a better part of a decade or so, when you look at that Urban Meyer era in the very beginning of Ryan Day, was clearly Alabama was 1, Ohio State was 2 or 3, right? That was the hierarchy in college football. Unfortunately, over the last couple of years, Ohio State has shifted out of that top 2, top 3 conversation down to more about that middle 5, middle 8 era. Still elite, still a serious contender, still one of the best teams in college football, but the perception nationally was no longer, this is legitimately, if they're not the best team in the country, they're number 2. I think we saw that vibe shift happen over Akron. And it wasn't just beating Akron by 50 points. Everyone knows Ohio State's going to beat Akron. It's the way they did it, the way they looked explosive, the way they looked talented, the way they looked deep across the board, better quarterback play, better vertical attack. It just looked like a different team. We feel a vibe shift happening, and that's exactly what this commitment was an indication of Ohio State once again moving back closer to that being the number 2, number 3 team in the country in terms of perception. Now, look, there's a lot of football left to be played, right? We all know that, right? Week 1, you don't want to overreact. But I think the way the season ended last year, there were some concerns. What's the quarterback position going to be like? What's Coach Kelly's offense going to be like? Is Jeremiah Smith the real deal? Everything looks really positive right now, and so far we see that momentum resulting in a massive recruiting victory.
Yeah, Nick, and I think the point you hit on about California guys. That's pretty big as well. That's
Yeah.
a huge part of recruitment for most of the country. Tons of great players come out of state. California, the article went on to say, like you said, the last guy they really got was CJ Stroud. And some people say maybe Julian Sayin, but he was a transfer portal. He wasn't a recruit guy. So really the last guy they got was, you're right, 4 years ago in 2020, they get CJ Stroud. But I think this opens up the doors back to the California pipeline. I think that's going to be big for Ohio State going forward because, bar none, I think the Smith thing kind of proves it. Because you think throughout the course of the last couple of years, it's like there's a couple freak athletes in there. Is there really something special? And I think it shows, yes, Brian Hartline is the best developer of wide receiver talent that we have seen possibly ever, but in a very long time. He has gotten guy after guy after guy. I can think Jackson Smith-Njigba, Emeka Ibuka. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. You got Jeremiah Smith. There's so many guys. Olave. There's so many guys I'm going to forget.
Garrett Wilson. I mean, it just keeps going.
There's an infinite list of guys he's produced. So many that I'll forget guys that'll probably be Hall of Famers one day. This is a wide receiving development machine that Brian Hartline has developed over at Ohio State. And I think we're seeing it now. I think, like you said, there was some questioning. CJ Stroud's gone. Other guys are gone. What's the offense going to look like? What are we going to do here? Like, the quarterback position's up in the air. Doesn't matter. They're just going to be an animal. Receivers are going to shine. So this is the place for the best receivers in the country to go. And you're going to be able to shine from day one like Jeremiah Smith.